Today on our 2011 GMC 2500, we'll be installing CURT Hitch, part number C31023. Now to begin our installation, we'll need to remove the two bolts here on the bottom side of the frame that hold the tow hook. This will be the same on the passenger side. Now that we've removed them, we'll go ahead and dry fit our hitch into place where we can mark the front fascia where it will need to be trimmed. With our trim marked, we'll now go ahead and remove it by removing the 10mm bolts that hold it on. We'll also need to remove the nuts here on either side where we can then pull back on the trim toward the center of the vehicle to remove it. With the trim out of the way, we'll now go ahead and undo the nuts that hold our tow hook on, where we can then slide the bolt out and set the tow hook off to the side for reinstallation later. Now all the hardware that we do remove, we will reuse to install the hitch. Now that we have both tow hooks out, we'll move up to the bumper attachments. We'll remove the two nuts on either side, where we can then slide out the bolts which are attached together here on the driver's side just far enough to where the hitch bracket will clear. On the passenger side, we'll need to remove the bolts completely, where we can then reverse them and install them from the outside in. We'll need to make sure that the bolts are in just far enough to leave clearance for the hitch bracket. Be careful because these are the bolts that hold the bumper in place, so it might be a good idea to have an extra set of hands to hold the bumper up in place while you do this. Now with all our hardware out of the way, we'll go ahead and put the hitch up into position. With it in position, we can then slide the bolts that are connected back through the frame and into our hitch brackets. This will hold the hitch in place. Now that our hitch is in place, we can go ahead and move on to the trim, where we'll trim it out for the receiver tube of our hitch. Now we're going to go ahead and use a hacksaw and a cutoff wheel to make the cutout in the trim. Now with our trim panel cut, we're ready to reinstall it on the truck. Now you may need to move the hitch around while you reinstall the trim panel, because you will have to reverse the order, working from the center of the truck back out toward the front of the truck. We can go ahead and put our hitch back into position and bolt the trim back down. We'll now go ahead and install the rest of the hardware that we removed. Now make sure you reinstall the tow hooks on their correct sides. With all of our hardware in place, we'll now tighten them down and torque them to specification as indicated in the instructions. And with all our bolts and nuts torqued to specifications, our hitch is installed and we're ready to load our accessories. And that completes our installation of CURT Hitch, part number C31023 on our 2011 GMC 2500.